segment, you said that with the show, I think the way you handle women is neglecting your duties as men.
Correct.
To lead and protect women even when they stray. Do you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're not doing it today, so I can't really.
It's just other days?
I can't go off of this today. Just a few things that I've seen. I think that you have a tendency to kind of shame some of these women.
Can you give me an example?
No, because I don't have anything. I'm just speaking out of my ass right now. Just based on some clips that I've seen, right?
Okay,
and I've
sure.
seen with you and some of these red pill guys, they'll bring on these girls with
Am
the
I red pill?
OnlyFans. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't like that. I think there's a lot of this happening on social media where we're trying to. I get it. We have to make money. It's interesting. It's exciting to do this. But I think that this happens a lot. I see it online where men will shame women, and I guess if they're going to be like resistant or whatever. But I don't think that that's the way, because she was asking like, how do we stop this? And I don't think that is the way, because it just confirms their already existing bias that men want to abuse them, right? And so with a lot of this stuff, a lot of it I think should really be discussed in a different way, where you kind of like show them, hey, this is actually not to your benefit, this isn't good for you, and actually try to bring them out of that mentality. You're not going to always win, but I don't think that the kind of like exposés that happen are the best way to do it. That's my opinion.
Well, I would need a specific example of.
I know. I wish I'd done my work. But
I think
I kind of
agree. I think I know what you guys are saying, and I have friends, female friends, who feel this way because my husband's on the show frequently, and some of the stuff I say will kind of trigger them. And I think everyone's instinct is to protect women, and like what you said in the pre-show notes was, even when they've gone astray, we should still protect them.
I didn't quite say we should protect them. I just don't necessarily know that kind of, stripping them naked and issuing lashes is the way to do it, metaphorically.
This is my opinion on it, which
It might work.
My opinion on it is
maybe.
that right now we don't have a problem of too much woman shaming in general. Now you could look at some red pill.
Have you seen my Twitter feed?
You go in?
I go in on everyone.
You go in.
But I think that we should. I think that in general we should. So like how I ended up in 2 previous bad relationships that, I can't even say they were bad, because like my first 2 children I had with my high school boyfriend I was with almost 6 years. I knew him my whole life. Great guy. He went through some personal shit. There was no cheating. There was no blowouts. There was no like toxicity. He just went through some really intense personal stuff, left. Okay. I'm alone with 2 kids. I'm devastated. I couldn't predict how I ended up here. I never thought that would be me. I intended to be with one guy and stay with one guy forever. It didn't work out. Put me in a vulnerable position where guy number 2 comes along. I meet him. He sounds great. He sounds perfect. Too perfect, in fact. Marry him, have a baby with him like I'm supposed to as his wife, and he turns out to actually have some very serious issues I didn't know about, that he didn't tell me about. So I understand what you're saying, where like women can be vulnerable and there can be bad guys. That's true. However, when that one left and I'm alone now with 3 kids and 2 ex-husbands, and I knew everyone forever for the rest of my life is just going to say, oh, she has 3 kids with 2 guys, and they're going to assume
you're a high-value woman,
that I was like promiscuous, or that I was sleeping around with randos, which I never ever did. And I'm sitting there at 26 trying to figure out, what the fuck do I do now, right? And what I had to do, I could blame the guys. I could look at them and all the things they did wrong to me. But instead I went, wait a minute. I'm the common denominator here. There's something about me. Either I'm attracting this type of guy, or I'm attracting certain behavior. I'm the common denominator, because they were total opposites. So I had to take a hard look at myself, and this is the only way I will say that I think I could be an example to women out there. In every other way, I'm not your life coach, I'm not your mom, I'm not the lady with all the wisdom. But in this one way, I think I can be an example, which is that I took a super hard look at myself at 26, which is hard to do. We don't like to do that as women. Be introspective and look at where all our flaws are and where our weaknesses are. And I went, okay, I see a pattern of what I'm doing. I see that I sometimes have a bad attitude. I see that the default feminism was in me too. I didn't think I was a feminist, and I didn't think I was doing anything particularly immoral or wrong or bad, but I did have like the modern woman attitude to an extent. And that led me to pick people based on wrong factors. You have to look at like, your childhood stuff and all that. But all I'm trying to say is, I think that we have an issue where we tell women that they are perfect, they can do no wrong, you're a goddess, you're a queen, you slay queen, you're amazing. Every man should want you at your best and put up with you at your worst and all this kind of stuff. We don't say that to men. Women are the ones being told we're already perfect, we don't need to change.
Where do you, so I had a totally different upbringing, totally different than that. And my experience with a lot of women is they are incredibly self-critical, probably not in the right ways,
Right.
you know. But I agree with you. I think this is true for men and women, is that you can't really do anything to change the person that you were with. The only thing you can do is change yourself.
Right.
So if something's not going right, whether it was one time or multiple times, I think the answer is always to look inside yourself and see what you can do to fix that.
Right.
But is this a common thing that because I don't know, I have a totally different upbringing where you guys are brought up and told you're wonderful, special, and all that stuff. Is that true?
Well, they'll say no, but generally, like when I watch the show and you ask women what went wrong with the previous relationships, they usually will say, oh, he was this and he was that and he did this wrong and he did that. He wasn't emotionally supportive. He wasn't this. It's like they'll go through 15 guys and every single time it was the guy and it was never them. And I'm just like, and I think this is a symptom of us telling women, you're amazing, you're special, you're perfect the way you are.
No wrong.
You don't need to change anything. You're a goddess. And I'm just...
But who is saying this?
well,
That's my thing. It's always, we're telling women this. They're
The
saying this.
culture.
They're doing,
Right.
What
I
is
would
the
say
culture?
I
You
would
can't
say
even
that on the
define
Taylor
what the
Swift.
culture-
Yeah.
You look like a Taylor Swift.
I'm wearing-
okay?
Are you a Swiftie?
No.
Are you Swiftie?
I'm wearing a
I'm a
David Bowie
Swiftie.
shirt right now.
Oh, shit.
I do not listen
Wait,
to
But,
Taylor
but-
Swift.
so she can write multiple albums about all her breakups, and she's had like what 27
It's a lot.
boyfriends or
A lot-
something.
A lot of boyfriends.
But it was, and she wrote a funny tongue-in-cheek song called "I'm the Problem, It's Me" because everybody was telling her, "Hey Taylor, maybe, perhaps you could be the issue here if every single guy you've ever dated is a total piece of shit." And you'll hear women do this, right? And this is why I won't do it, even though the trolls are constantly like, "What about your exes? What about your?" I'm not going to give their business because they're private people. I'm a public person; they're not, and I have the respect for them to not tell you all
Here's
their
an
business.
example. Here's an example. If a man cheats, he fucked up. If a woman cheats, the man fucked up.
Wait, where
That's
do
an
you
example.
where do you-
The
me what
woman
I
cheated.
need.
Hold on,
he
hold
wasn't
on.
meeting my
Where
need,
do you
blah,
get
blah,
that
blah, blah.
from?
This is like a common thing.
Because that's
But
not
you
what
can't-
I
you can't
see.
give an
I
example. That's the
Women
thing.
women will constantly argue that when women cheat, the man wasn't meeting some sort of expectation. But when the man cheats, he's a dog. He's a piece of shit.
I've seen
blah,
something-
blah, blah,
I've
blah,
seen
blah.
something
the abortion
totally
one
different.
is the best one, where if
Wait,
a
what?
man doesn't want you to keep the baby, he's an asshole. He has no right to
Oh,
make that
okay.
But
decision.
if
And if
they
a
want the
woman wants to keep it,
abortion,
it's
it's
her body. Go her.
But none
That's a
of
good
you,
point. That's a
none
very
of
good
you
point.
are giving examples of where, except you gave Taylor Swift, which I'm not sure I totally agree with that.